Welcome everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you for being here. I'm going to be diving into my 2026 reading goals as well as the 26 and 2026 books that I want to read. It's a new year, it's new reading goals. New books are coming out. I'm so excited about this one specific new release this year. I cannot wait. It is on my 26 and 2026 list. So I'm going to get started with my goals for this year, my reading goals for 2026. So my reading goal last year was 20 books. I did hit that. I think I hit 20 in November of last year, and I ended up making a stretch goal for myself of 25 books. Did not hit that, but it's okay. I read 24, so I was very, very close. I really wanted to push and read that one more book, and I was in the middle of the book, but I didn't have enough time. I ended up making my reading goal 36 books. I figured I read 2 a month last year on average. I can maybe up that to 3 a month this year. The reason why I upped it to 36, which I feel like is for me, that's a big jump from 24 to 36. It's 12 more books. I have recently been utilizing my Libby app a lot more and actually realizing that I enjoy audiobooks. So I decided that one of my additional goals for 2026 is to read more nonfiction and to specifically listen to more nonfiction audiobooks. So goal number 1 is read 36 books. Goal number 2 is to read more nonfiction books. Ideally, it would be 1 nonfiction book a month. I want to just know things. I want to know random facts and I want to have random knowledge, but I also want to have knowledge that is useful and actually teaches me something. So I feel like reading more nonfiction books. I love reading, so why not read more nonfiction books and learn something while I'm doing one of my favorite hobbies. With that being said, another interlaced goal with these first 2 is to read more from the library. So I already mentioned that Libby is something that I have been utilizing a lot more recently, but I definitely want to prioritize the library this year, so that's another one of my goals. I want to finish my entire physical TBR. I have 20 books on my physical TBR. I do have one exception, which I'll get into, so I want to read 19 of the 20 books that I have on my physical TBR. Since I want to finish my physical TBR, I also want to go on a temporary book buying ban, and I want to be more intentional with what books I'm buying and actually reading the books that I'm buying in a reasonable timeline. Usually I get so excited about buying a book and then it sits on my shelf for like a year or 2 years even. Some of the books that are on my physical TBR I have had since 2023. So I want to get better at actually reading the books that I purchase. And having only 20 books on my physical TBR is actually not even that bad. I'm doing okay. With that said, in order to hold myself accountable, I do not want to buy any new books until I have read at least 10 off of my physical TBR. So once I read 10, then I will let myself buy, I think I said 2 books is what I would let myself buy. So that's one of my goals for this year as well. Those are my 2026 reading goals. They're not super ambitious, I don't think, although 36 books is kind of a lot for me, so that's pretty ambitious in my opinion. I don't have that many. I'm not going to be super strict on myself with them, except for the book buying one. I do not want to buy a new book until I've read at least 10 of my physical books. That one's going to be pretty strict, I would say. Now let's get into my 26 and 2026. A lot of the books on this list are my physical TBR. I mentioned earlier that one of my reading goals for this year is to finish my physical TBR and completely read every single book that I actually own. One book that I own that is on my physical TBR, I am not going to read this year. And I know I technically won't complete my physical TBR if I don't read this book, but I'm making the exception because it's Throne of Glass. And I can't start Throne of Glass and not continue the rest of the series unless this is the book that I read in December or something, that this is the last book that I read. It is the only physical TBR book that I have that I'm okay with not finishing. If I read every single other book on my physical TBR except for this one, I'm gonna still consider that I finished my physical TBR even if this one is not included. This is the exception. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into the actual 26 books on my 26 for 2026 list. First up, we have The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. I actually already finished this book. This was my first read for 2026. I started it in 2025. It was supposed to be my December TBR book, but I didn't finish it, so we finished it in 2026. This book series is a set of duologies, so this is the first in the first duology. So it's 6 total books, I believe, in the series. At least right now it's gonna be 6 total books, and this is the first in the first duology. I would love to read the other books this year, but I don't know if I'm actually gonna get to them. Maybe that'll be a next year thing, but Serpent and the Wings of Night was number 1 on my list. This is a romantasy book about vampires and kind of trials and games and high stakes. I found this book in my grocery store and I read the synopsis on the back, and I was immediately sold. And even though it was on my list for last year and I didn't get to it, it was an obvious choice for my 26 books for this year, and so we already got one down. Next up, we have The Favorites by Lane Fargo. I actually already started reading this book. I'm about almost halfway through. I heard a lot of people compare this book to Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I loved that book, so I definitely added this to my want to read list. I got it from Book of the Month back in January of last year, and I'm finally getting around to it. I've heard that it's very high drama, which so far it is. It lives up to the high drama. It's really good so far. I'm really enjoying it. And I also think that this is the perfect time to read this book. It's about these competitive ice skaters and just all the drama that surrounds their life. And the Winter Olympics are starting. I think it's gonna put me in such a good mood for the Winter Olympics. And I'm gonna be watching the figure skating competitions and just thinking about this book the whole time, probably. So I'm really glad that I actually picked this one up, and I will finish it this month. That's number 2. Next is Phantasma. This is another fantasy duology, I think. Actually, you know what? I think I might have heard that there's gonna be a third book, maybe. I might have heard that, so I'm not actually sure if this is just a duology or if this is going to be a trilogy or even longer. I don't know. I have quite literally no idea what this book is about, but I'm putting Phantasma and Enchantra on my list for 2026, so that'll be number 3 and number 4. I keep hearing so many good things. I don't know if there's trials. I haven't even read the back of the book, and I based on what people have said, I picked it up and I bought it because it just sounds like something that I'll like. On the back of the book, it quite literally says, the only way for Ophelia to save her sister is to win. So I think there's a game situation going on. You know what? Reading the back of this book, it sounds a lot like Serpent and Wings of Night, to be completely honest. However, there's probably not vampires in this book. The last line of the back of the synopsis is, because in Phantasma, the only thing deadlier than losing the game is losing your heart, which is very similar to one of the, I think, summary lines of Serpent and Wings of Night. I'll definitely like it. I definitely think it's going to be different. Phantasma and Enchantra are numbers 3 and 4 on my list. I have been wanting to read classics for a little while. I haven't read a classic since probably high school, and I think that they're just a good mental reading challenge for yourself. There's so many other things, whether it's movies or TV shows or other books, that kind of reference classics or go back to the classics, and I feel like reading an actual classic would just let you understand it so much more. So next on my list is Moby Dick. So there's a puzzle and a book in here, which I actually kind of loved. It's from Bookworm Puzzle is the company, and they have a few different options. I think they're all classics. There was like The Great Gatsby. I think they have Dracula, I can't remember. I'm gonna open this right now to actually look at the book. This is, I think, the cover of the book and the puzzle. It's cute. So this is what it looks like when you open it up. Okay, so they have the little synopsis of what the book is about. This is actually really cute. There's a little thank you sticker with the packaging. That's a thick book. Oh no, it's not. I thought it was a lot thicker than this. Oh, it's heavy though. So this is the book. I think it's based on a true story of a whale sinking a ship. Wow, that print is small. Oh, I just creased the spine. The epilogue starts on page 513, so it actually doesn't seem that big. Wow, I creased the spine like so easily. That's okay. I kind of like a cracked spine, but that happened really fast. But yeah, it's Moby Dick, or The Whale is also what it goes by Herman Melville. It's a classic. It's, I think, about this whale who sinks a ship or attacks a ship, and it's based on a true story. This is not itself a true story, but it is based on a true story. Oh, I got this at the Las Vegas Book Festival, and actually the artist is from Las Vegas, so that's really exciting. But yeah, here's the puzzle and the puzzle poster, so you know what you're making. So you're quite literally making the cover. I'm excited about that. So next up on my list is a highly anticipated duology. I've actually had it on my physical TBR for a really long time too, and it's by one of my favorite authors. It's Six of Crows. I've never read Six of Crows. I've heard endless things about this series, and it is so good. I'm really excited that it's just a duology. I don't know, something about a duology just makes sense, I feel like. I have read Shadow and Bone by the same author, Leigh Bardugo, and I've also read the Ninth House series. And I think that the Six of Crows duology takes place in the same universe as Shadow and Bone. I think it takes place in the Grishaverse. But I hear that it's a lot of found family, it's a lot of heist situations. I'm just very, very excited about this. I really liked Shadow and Bone. It was a YA fantasy trilogy, and I read that. I loved it. I think I gave 5 stars to Siege and Storm and Ruin and Rising. And so if this is a continuation or maybe a prequel for the Grishaverse, and even if it's not, I just know it's going to be good because I've heard so much about it, and I just love Leigh Bardugo. I think it's going to be enough of its own thing that I don't have to reread Shadow and Bone, even if it is interconnected, which is also nice. But yeah, found family, heists, fantasy. It sounds fantastic to me. I don't know if this is YA. I think it might be. A lot of the books that I have on this list are first in a series, which is kind of problematic because I'm not planning on finishing the series anytime soon, but I'm just going to be starting them. But you know what? It's fine. That's a problem for later. But next up, I have Once Upon a Broken Heart, which, like I just said, is a first in the series. And oh my god, wait, I did not realize that this author also wrote the Carvel series. Did not know that. I've heard a lot about it. Don't know if I'll put that on my TBR anytime soon. This is a trilogy, I believe, and it's a YA romance fantasy, I think. Can you see a trend? Can you see a theme of the types of books that I enjoy and read? Again, quite literally don't know anything about this book. I kind of love going into books blind, so unfortunately that means that I'm probably not going to be describing what these books are about in this video because I don't actually know. I'll find out when I read it and then I'll let you know. But this is again one of those books that I've just heard a lot about online and therefore I picked it up and I wanted to read it. So it's a trilogy, it's a YA romance, fantasy, romantasy, and that's all I know. Next on my list is another first in the series, and that is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I got the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition because I thought it was so cute and pretty. I love the purple. I love the little mushrooms. I don't think I know what the original cover looks like, but I saw this one and I had heard a little bit about it, but I really bought this one because I was so intrigued by the cover and I just thought it was so cute. I think it's a cozy fantasy. I have been recommended this book by one of my friends on Instagram for a very long time, so I'm finally gonna read it this year. We're gonna see what all the hype's about. I know that it's a series. I don't remember how many books are in this series, but one of my favorite things also about this book is the pages. They're not evenly cut, staggered, zigzagged. I don't really know the right way to describe that. But yeah, Emily Wilde is another first in the series that I'm not going to be continuing this year, but will be starting. Next is another book that I have absolutely zero clue what it is about, and that is Demon Copperhead. It's also got the squiggly edges, just like Emily Wilde. Another one that I saw in Barnes & Noble because the cover drew me in. I think I read the back. I hope I did. I did. So this book is inspired by David Copperfield, which is one of Charles Dickens's novels. I don't know what David Copperfield's about. I was so drawn in by the cover of this one. I read the synopsis and I was like, yeah, I think that sounds like a book I would enjoy, but I just really love it's just a really beautiful cover. Even the spine I just think is really pretty. There's a lot of different things going on. I don't know if they're gonna come into play in the story, but we got a snake, we got some mushrooms, we got a cat. Where was the cat? The cat's on the back. I don't know if these things are going to come into play with the story. I hope they do, so I can kind of connect the dots from the cover maybe. I've heard a little bit about this book, not too much, but I hear it's really good, and it's about this boy who grows up in a trailer park. I think that's all I know. Again, I picked it up because of the cover. It just drew me in, and then I read the synopsis and I was like, yeah, okay, I'll read that. What do we have next? Oh, this one I'm actually really excited about. I've read 2 of her books now, and that is The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. So this is a historical fiction that takes place during the Great Depression. And a lot of her books are historical fiction. I feel like she's kind of one of the queens of historical fiction, at least today in like the modern world. She's definitely one of the highest rated historical fiction authors that I'm aware of. I read The Nightingale by her and Magic Hour by her. I really, really loved The Nightingale. Magic Hour was also pretty good. Not as good as The Nightingale in my opinion, but also Magic Hour was not historical fiction. That was just like general fiction, a little bit of mystery thrown in there too, but not too much. It was mostly just fiction. But this is another historical fiction book. She just writes such good emotion and she writes very good characters. And I feel like her writing style definitely makes you feel things for the characters and it really puts you in the story. So I'm very excited to go on and read this one. Next on the list is by another very well-known author and another first in a series book. It's The Poppy War. I've heard so much about The Poppy War. I hear it's heartbreaking, it's a trilogy, it is all fantasy. I'm gonna read this and want to continue reading the rest so bad, so maybe I'll read this at the end of 2026, so then I can pick up, what is it, Dragon Republic, Burning God, I think, are the next 2 in the trilogy. I got this at my grocery store for $10, and I just had to get it, because I knew it was gonna be a series that I would read eventually, and once I saw it for $10, and it's a little mass market paperback size, which I love, I wanted to pick it up so bad. So I also recently read Babel by her and really enjoyed, so I'm excited to dive into one of her series, and I really want to read Catabasis. Yeah, I really enjoyed her writing in Babel, so very excited to see how I enjoy The Poppy War. Yet another first in a series, we have Wild Love by Elsie Silver. This is a cowboy romance, and I've never read a cowboy romance before. It's a first in a series, like I said, but I kind of think that you don't have to read them back to back to really understand what's going on. From my understanding, each book in this series is kind of a standalone romance, so I don't have to jump right into the second one after I finish the first one. But this is the first in the series. Again, another one. I'm kind of excited for this one. You know what? I think I should have picked a different book up when I bought this one. It's not that I don't want to read it, I definitely do, but I don't think it's a priority for me. Just in my I don't even have actual priorities in terms of what books I want to read, but in my head I have like, I kind of have books that I really, really want to get to and don't own, and this one is not one of those books that I just really am dying to get to, but I do own it. And my goal this year, obviously, like I've been saying, is to read my physical TBR and get all of the books that are on my shelves actually read. Because why did I buy them if I wasn't going to read them? And this is one of those situations where it's like, do I really want to read this next or soon? No. Wild Love by Elsie Silver. This next one is actually one that has been on my radar for a very long time and is in my mental priority. And it's One for My Enemy by Olive E. Blake. I have not read any book by Olive E. Blake, but I hear so much about her writing. All of her books sound so intriguing to me, and One for My Enemy definitely sounds like something that I would like. I forget, now that I'm saying this out loud, I forget what this is about. Again, I'm so sorry. I forget if this is the one that's similar to A Secret History. That might be If We Were Villains by ML Rio. Oh, wait a minute. This is not like A Secret History. Modern Day Manhattan. I'm gonna read the back because I don't think I knew what this is about. In Modern Day Manhattan, where we lay our scene, two rival witch families fight to maintain control of their respective criminal empires. On one side of the conflict are the Antonova sisters, each one beautiful, cunning, and ruthless, and their mother, the elusive supplier of premium intoxicants known only as Baba Yaga. Why do I know that? I feel like I've heard of it before. After 12 years of tenuous coexistence, one family member brutally crosses the line. Bad blood reignites old grudges. At the same time, fate intervenes with a chance encounter between enemies. Oh. In the wake of love and vengeance, everyone must choose a side. As each of the siblings struggle to stake their claim, bloodshed is inevitable. The question is whose? Okay, that's not at all what I thought. Oh, it says a witchy mob-inspired adventure that will excite fans of V.E. Schwab and Leigh Bardugo. I am a fan of Leigh Bardugo. Have not read any V.E. Schwab yet. Okay. I bought this for a good reason. Thought it was a different book when I bought it, but I'm excited nonetheless. Oh, this next one. Okay. This is Rabbits. This one I have never heard of. Apparently, this book is based off of a podcast. I've never heard of that before. I'm gonna read the back of this book also. I was in the Writer's Block, which is a bookstore in Las Vegas, and I was shopping with my sister. I saw this cover. Actually, I saw the spine, I saw the little bunny, and I was intrigued, and then I decided to read the back of it. It's also super floppy, which is a huge plus. Rabbits is a mysterious alternative reality game so vast it uses the entire world as its canvas. Since the game started in 1959, 10 iterations have appeared and 9 winners have been declared. The identities of these winners are unknown, so is their reward, which is rumored to include vast wealth, immortality, or perhaps even the key to the secrets of the universe. The deeper you get, the more dangerous the game becomes. Players have died in the past, and the body count is rising. And the 11th round is about to begin. Enter Kay, a rabbits obsessive who has been trying to find a way into the game for years. That path opens when Kay is approached by a billionaire, the alleged winner of the 6th iteration. Shapiro says that something has gone wrong with the game and that Kay needs to fix it before 11 starts, or the whole world will pay the price. 5 days later, Shapiro is declared missing, and Kay seems to be all that stands between the world and chaos. I was very intrigued by that synopsis, loved the cover, sounds like a sci-fi, so I'm excited for this one. Very different, never heard of it before, very excited for it. Next is a fantasy series that a lot of people have probably heard before. Unlike the other books that are part of a series that I've mentioned already, this one I actually own the complete series too, and I have a goal of reading the complete series this year, and that is none other than the Crescent City series by Sarah J. Maas. I bought the Barnes & Noble exclusive editions because I knew I was going to read these books, and so I wanted to get the beautiful exclusive editions instead of the regular ones, because look at even the back. The backs are so beautiful. Crescent City is an ongoing fantasy series by Sarah J. Maas. I don't know if it is interconnected with Throne of Glass or ACOTAR. I think it's completely on its own. I think it's also set more in a modern day timeline. Again, I don't really know much about it. I'm going in blind. I know that it's fantasy and it's Sarah J. Maas, so it's probably gonna be good. So those are the next 3 on my list. What number am I even at? These are 16 through 18 of the Crescent City series. Very, very excited for that. I think I'm gonna also start reading this with my sister this year. These books are so big. Even just like holding them in my hand. I'm so excited to read this though. Something about reading a chunky novel. It just feels nice. I don't really know how else to describe it. Number 19 on my list is actually a book that I had no intention of picking up until somebody else told me that they were going to read it and maybe we could read it together. And that is Worth Fighting For by Jessie Q. Sutano. This is part of a kind of interconnected series, but they don't really have anything to do with each other. They're all Disney retellings. This one is a Mulan retelling, so they are all more modernized YA romance retellings of the movie that they're based on. So this one is based on Mulan. There's a bunch of other ones. There's one for Cinderella, one for Beauty and the Beast. I think Tangled has one. There's a couple of different ones. And actually, when I was at the Las Vegas Book Festival, I did go to the panel that they were all talking at. Christina Lauren is one of the authors that has a book. I think theirs is a Tangled one. I went to the panel and they had all of these authors that were part of the Disney, I forget what they called it. They called it some Disney thing. It was like a Disney retelling series or something. What was it called? Does it say on the back? Oh, Meant to Be. It's part of the Meant to Be series. So it's a Disney affiliated series. This is not, I mean, I do love Mulan, but this is not typically something that I would have picked up, but there were some people that I met in line at the book signing for all these authors. They were like, hey, do you want to read this with us? I'm kind of excited for it. It's nice. It's short and sweet. I think it's going to be cute. It sounds intriguing. I mean, it's basically the plot of Mulan, but in a more modernized setting. So next I have Before We Forget Kindness, and I think I'm going to also put Before the Coffee Gets Cold on this list as well. I don't own that one. I only own this one. I don't think I have to read them in order, but I know Before the Coffee Gets Cold came out first. I don't know when this one came out. There's a whole slew of these books now, and they're all very short, but this has been on my shelf for a while, and I think it's just time that I finally get to it. So I think I want to read Before the Coffee Gets Cold first, and then I'll get to this one, which is on my physical TBR. They're all kind of, I believe they are reflections on life. They get really deep and meaningful, and I've heard a lot of people find them to be quite emotional. I don't know. I think it'll be a good book to read, a good eye-opening, thinking about life kind of book. Those two are number 20 and 21. That completes my entire physical TBR. Again, besides Throne of Glass, like I said earlier. But so those are all of my physical TBR books, which is 19. And then Before the Coffee Gets Cold and Enchantra, I don't physically own. That's why we're at 21. So next is a very highly anticipated new release for me this year. It's by one of my favorite authors. It's one of my all-time favorite series. It is the third and final book in the trilogy, and it's Deadbeat by Leigh Bardugo. I'm so excited to finally see what happens at the end of this series. I've been waiting for so long, it feels like. And so because I want to read this one in 2026, like as soon as it comes out, I have also put Ninth House and Hellbent on my want to read list for this year, my TBR for 2026. I've already read these, but I really want to go back and reread them. This will be the first book that I have ever reread and read more than once. It feels so fitting because this is the first book that I ever really truly loved. As an adult, I think it was the first fantasy book I've read, and I just absolutely loved it. It has a little bit of mystery elements in there too. It is kind of dark academia. It takes place at Yale, on the campus of Yale. Follows the main character, Alex Stern. She can see ghosts. She gets invited to be a part of this Yale secret society, and there's just twists and turns. There's things going wrong. I don't want to spoil anything that happens in this book for this book, but she has a dark past, there's a dark present, there's a dark future. It's just I love this book. I love this series so much. I love the characters. I want to know what's going on with Darlington. Just where we left off, I feel like I don't even know where it could go. It could go so many different directions. I just cannot wait to see how Leigh Bardugo finishes this trilogy. I'm so excited. I feel like I have been waiting for this third book for so long. This one came out in 2023, so it's been almost 3 years. This was January 2023. It's been 3 years. That's insane. That's insane. But yeah, September 2026 is the third one. So these are the next three on my list for 2026. So excited. The last two books that I'm gonna have for my 26 and 2026. I already went through all my physical TBR books, so I don't really have any dead set in mind, but I think I do. And there are two books that have been on my radar for quite some time. I see them in the store, I always look at them, I always pick them up, I always want to buy them, and then I just don't because I'm like, I have books at home. But they are Masters of Death by Olive E. Blake. Again, I don't know what this book is about. I really do not know. Every single time I am in the bookstore, I see this book, and it's something about the cover, the colors, the way the skeleton's like balancing on the thing. I don't know. It looks so intriguing to me. I think I read the back forever ago when I first picked up this book. I think I read the back like every single time I see it and pick it up. I don't remember what it's about because there's so many books and there's so many There's so many things, but I really want to read it. I'm gonna read One for My Enemy, which is by the same author, so that's on my list. So once I read that, if I like it, I probably will want to pick up more by her. I think Masters of Death is just gonna be a good option for me because I see it all the time and I just want to read it. I just want to read it. And then also, exact same situation. It's been on my radar since it came out. I think it came out last summer, so it hasn't been out for that long, but that's The Hounding by Zenobie Harris, I think. Is that the right name? I don't have it in front of me. This was actually in one of my previous videos of new releases last summer that I was excited about, and I think I want to get to it. It's about these girls who are slowly turning into dogs, and it just sounds so interesting. It's kind of a different genre than what I'm typically used to. I read a lot of fantasy romantasy books, if you couldn't tell, but this one I think is a bit more of a horror theme. Maybe I don't think it's fantasy. I think it might be more magical realism mixed with literary fiction or something, but I'm very intrigued by this book. I want to see what it's about. I want to see where it goes. I want to see what happens. So I think it's going to be added to my list for 26 and 2026. That's it. That's everything. Those are my goals. Those are my 26 books. That's all I got. That's everything. Thank you so much for watching. If any of the books that I've mentioned are on your TBR for this year as well, or if you've already read them, let me know what you thought. Maybe I'll do a reading vlog of some of these books, and maybe I'll do like a mid-year update on my goals, my TBR, how many physical TBR books I have, if I actually listened to myself and did the book buying ban. I'll see you in the next one.